Hey guys, welcome back to According To. I'm Megan.
And I'm Ciera. This week we are back with another Reddit episode. So we're going to be jumping on the Unpopular Opinion subreddit, reading some unpopular opinions, and then we will talk about them, say whether or not we agree or disagree, and if that opinion is truly unpopular or not.
It's always fun to go on this subreddit just to see what crazy things people are saying, or maybe it's something that you're like, I've always thought this exact same thing, and you maybe didn't even realize. You're like, that is an unpopular opinion, isn't it? And so we just picked out 7 or so each to chat with. We're
going to talk to the subreddits.
So before we do that, we're going to do a little catch up like we normally do with you guys, talk about our weekly spotlights.
And see, this is kind of fun. Now that we live separately, for a week at a time, we can just catch up with each other here and on the podcast.
What's been new with you this past week?
Well, my weekly
Ciera
spotlight
just came home 15 minutes ago.
Just drove back. That's been my Friday nights, which is funny because I'd be getting home still kind of earlier sometimes than I would for my other clinical that I had.
Yeah.
So, I'm just saying. My weekly spotlight I was going to share was that I went to a movie by myself yesterday, and it was nice.
I never actually even figured out what movie you went to see.
I ended up seeing Tickets to Paradise. I think that's what it was called, or Ticket to Paradise.
Oh, so it wasn't even an option that you...
No, so I was going to see... The options I think that I sent you were See How They Run, which was not even in theaters near me. I think it came out a month ago. I don't know where that's playing. What was the other option I gave you? Oh, Bullet Train was not playing near me either. I was limited in my options.
The Queen something.
The Woman King, I think is what it was called.
So the Queen.
The Woman King, so the Queen. That might have been playing. I was iffy about it has such high ratings, but I watched the trailer and it just didn't interest me that much. So I don't know. If you guys have seen The Woman King and you think I should see it, I'm always down to go see a movie. But I want something a little lighthearted. You've probably seen the trailers for Ticket to Paradise have been everywhere. So that's the Julia Roberts and George Clooney movie. I didn't go in
I think I actually just started seeing trailers yesterday or the day before.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I've been seeing them. And I didn't really pay attention to the trailers. It was always those YouTube ads that I would just skip. So all I knew is that it was a rom-com between a divorced couple. But I liked it more than I thought I would. So I would recommend if you're in the mood for just a low-key kind of funny rom-com. It's not even it's hardly a rom-com. It is because they get together at the end, but it's I won't give any spoilers because I didn't know anything about it going into it, but it was fun and just I liked Julia Roberts and George Clooney together. I thought they were a funny duo.
My weekly spotlight is maybe I really like that we kind of got the dining area of our house updated a little bit more to our liking. So I did vlog this past week in my life, and that should be up then when this video goes up if you want to check it out. But we replaced a lighting fixture. Ciera and we replaced the lighting fixture, which I had no doubt that we would be able to do, but I kind of had been talking with my dad about replacing the light, and he was totally down to come help out with replacing it. But I was getting kind of impatient. I just wanted to see if Ciera and I could do it. So we looked up a video and got it replaced, and the electricity works and everything. And so that was nice, and I really like how it looks. I was kind of going back and forth, and we had originally kind of thought we would go with something different. Just anytime we envisioned, we'll do a black single pendant light. It was what we kind of had consistently been talking about. But I wanted something that was in stores close to us, and the ones that close by were they hardly seemed like they were giving off any light, and so I was kind of shying away from those
We
things.
did still want it to be functional.
So I found one at Lowe's that I was this should look nice, and we went with gold because the kind of hardware stuff on the console table in that area and the mirror are gold, and so I was this should look nice, and I think it does. And maybe, when you consider it in conjunction with the whole house and the rest of the silver hardware we have, maybe it doesn't make the most sense, but I did not want a silver light fixture there. So,
and we already had a silver light fixture there, so.
And we didn't like it.
Yeah.
It wasn't our style, so really like it. And then we got some new dining chairs, which
love them.
They're very cute. although I did think of this technically before ordering it, so like I wasn't oblivious to the fact, but I was like, these chairs have like chrome on them, don't they? Is that going to throw off the vibe? But I think it
No,
looks
I didn't
nice
even think
overall.
about it.
They're just like these white cushion chairs with rattan back and then like chrome legs and stuff. They're cute.
Something
I got them
else
from Amazon
that I can talk about a little bit is that I've been in my like meal prepping era, kind of.
What era are you in?
My meal prepping era. So, going into like this clinic rotation, for my 2 other rotations, like every time I would bring a lunch, I was pretty much always doing those healthy choice, like frozen meals that I would just microwave, and those were good. But I felt like this was a chance for me to like say, okay, Ciera, you're like truly on your own. I can't like, not even like I can blame you in any way, shape, or form for like being lazy with my lunches, but I felt like I was like, okay, now it's like truly just you. Are you really gonna like, have these frozen meals for lunch every single day?
How do I have anything to do with that?
You don't, but I feel like
been meal prepping here.
I know, but like I don't know, it just felt different. And so I got like these little meal prep kind of containers, which I've been using as my Tupperware because I don't have any other Tupperware up there too, but I have enough at this point. So I've been making these like 1-pot meals on like Sunday or Monday night and spreading it out for the week, and that's been my lunch. So the first week I did this Fiesta chicken bowl. If you guys watched the vlog, that one was really good, made plenty of servings. And then on Pinterest, there was like this garlic chicken rice thing that looked really good, and I swear I followed it correctly. Like it tasted fine, but it had implied that there'd be a lot more like sauciness to it than there was. Like here, you saw my TikTok, right? Or like you saw my lunch, or you could at least see it again. I'm going to pull up the Pinterest and show you the picture of what it was supposed to look like.
Did it taste okay?
It tasted fine, but like I was expecting like sauce, like kind of vibes. Like not like sauce, but I'll show you and you'll see. You see that compared to what I had for my lunch?
I mean, I don't distinctly remember what you had for lunch.
But like that implies that there's
TikTok.
like a creaminess within the meal, correct? You guys can't see, but it tasted fine. I'll maybe try it again. And surprisingly, the crazy thing was that for this, when I was getting recipe stuff, like ingredients, I only had to get 2 more things from the other stuff that I had like to get for my chicken fiesta bowl. Like I think I just had to get Parmesan cheese, which I didn't end up using on accident because it was supposed to go last and I forgot. And then I had to get something else, or just heavy cream. And I think that was it. So yeah, in my meal prepping era, I feel pretty good about it.
My 10 days that I've been at my clinical, I have been to the cafeteria 3 times because I just haven't felt like packing a lunch on those days.
I could go to the cafeteria. The thing with that is that it might be the same for you, but like, how long do you have for lunch? An hour?
Half hour.
Oh dang! And you go to the cafeteria and then eat it and get everything done?
I mean, I have time to document. We have like after lunch, people sit and document.
Oh, okay. Well, I have like just a full hour, but like that's the only time that I have, and then I try and document the morning then too.
See, that's why I'm digging
So
acute care is because like
for inpatient rehab we have a full hour in the morning.
You have your time at the end of the day too, right?
And a full hour at the end of the day to document stuff.
Yeah, but I kind of like doing it like right after lunch, and like they can just do it whenever they want.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
So your rotation's been going well?
Yeah.
Any new updates?
I mean, I don't really know what I said last week, but nothing really new. I'm getting more involved. Like my first week, I was a little like just kind of an extra set of hands. So I said that last week. This week, the thing with acute care is kind of like I am definitely like taking the lead and like in charge of most patients, but like my CI has already said that she's never just gonna like leave me alone like with the patient. Sure. I'm not going to get to a point where like she like bye see ya, because like I'm practicing under her license. These patients aren't always medically stable.
Sure.
So it's always going to be kind of like she's there watching me no matter what. So I don't know how like independent I'll feel necessarily, just because like automatically when someone's there, I feel like that makes it seem like if I'm not like I'm not by myself.
And I've talked about that even with my pediatric rotation. It was like my CI was always there. So it's like even if you are like literally doing everything on your own, it's like someone being there, you're like, I didn't do it by myself though.
Yeah. So this week I did start leading treatments and leading evals on patients that aren't super complex. So if you guys are interested at all in like what an acute care eval looks like, so chart review, first thing is like when we have the patients that we have to see for that day, the first thing we do in the morning is we chart review. And so the things that I have been learning, and I'm still learning, I'm only on week 2 of acute care, you guys. But the things that I've been learning are key things to look at are, so the first thing is like, I go look at like the sidebar because that usually has like the snapshot of like information I need to know. So I'll get like my own piece of paper out. I'll write down their room number, their name, and then like their reason that they're in the hospital for. And so once I have that, then I usually like to write down just like their age and gender because just so I'm like aware of like who I'm going to go see.
Mm-hmm.
And then one PT told me they like to write down weight sometimes, whether that's some lift equipment, if they're going to need some lift equipment, has weight restrictions. So sometimes they think it's helpful to just like have that listed there. I like to write down their last vitals that were taken, even if they were normal, so I know like what's normal for them. If they're on oxygen, then I'll write down like the amount that they're on, and usually they'll have like parameters, but for someone who's like not COPD or having like pulmonary stuff going on, ideally they should be staying above like 93%. For COPD, they usually like them to stay between 88 and 92, and they don't necessarily want them going above that either. So those are usually parameters that I may write down, or like I kind of can just remember that, so it's not that big of a deal. And then writing down past medical history that's at least like pertinent to their hospital stay currently or things that I might care about. So COPD is a big one that could impact how they work with me. Heart failure, hypertension, type 2 diabetes. Sometimes there's like unique stuff, or if they have like a history of stroke, then that could impact, what you go in and see with the patient, whatever you think is relevant. And then I'll write down, when you get PT orders in acute care, they technically come with like what the orders are. Most of the time it's discharge recommendations. Some of the time it's like in the ICU, they'll usually word it as like early mobility, like to get them up and moving. And then they might also say, like today we had one where someone had kind of like a neurological event. It seemed to me probably like a TIA because he was presenting like a stroke, but by the time we saw him today, he was like fully recovered. He only had like a little bit of weakness, numbness, tingling one side, and then like it's been resolving since he came in yesterday.
Okay.
And he was like 100% normal today. So, what was I saying about that? I don't know what I was saying.
TIA, I don't know. I can't finish your thought for you.
Somehow I was going to say something about the chart, and then now I don't know what I was going to say. Lab values are also something that we look at. What I've been mostly focusing on is, for a lot of the stuff, there's only certain things that are going to impact whether or not I'm going to choose to work with them or not. So that's what I am trying to focus on. So sodium and potassium stuff, if those levels are off, then they might impact like someone's heart rhythm, especially if they have like cardiac stuff going on. Sodium, we don't pay as much attention to because that's been, higher, and we've still are like seeing the patients and don't really pay that much attention. But if potassium is low, then my CI was kind of like, I might not see someone if like their potassium's too low. So I'm like, okay. And then
lock that in.
If someone, what else for lab values? Hemoglobin.
Blood count.
Hemoglobin is the other big one because if someone has low hemoglobin, then they could fatigue quicker and just like not have as much endurance during the session.
Platelets. So, have you had to deal with anyone with like a low platelet count or anything?
Yes, there's been some patients where, that'd be important, but a lot of times they'll like just have patients who are on, like we haven't had to like not been able to work with someone because of that, but oftentimes too they'll have people listed as like fall risk as soon as they're on, like if they're on blood thinners or anything. Sure. So I'll also write down like precautions like that where it's like fall risk precautions, which like it doesn't really change that much because I'm always trying to like not have a patient fall anyways. Or sometimes it'll have like seizure precautions for a patient, which like I don't know what that means, but I write it down just in case, like I don't know. And if someone has like just if you can usually go through, and I'll look through once I'm trying to like, none of this is all like a specific order that I necessarily do, but then I also go to, like, I want to find out if it's like an eval, the first thing they brought them in, which a lot of times it tends to be like an ED to hospital admission.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll go find the hospitalist or emergency department note just to kind of like give me the story of like what brought the patient in, so I have an idea. Sometimes, if I'm lucky, the inpatient care coordinator has seen this patient before I had, and so then I can start getting housing information, family if they're involved, stuff like that, so it can kind of like cut down my subjective questions and stuff. But if they didn't, then I need to like go get that information anyways. And then sometimes I'm still figuring out how to like navigate the software well, but you can go back and check. There's sometimes some frequent flyers in the hospital, so a lot of times the PTs will go and look back at if they've seen the patient before or if they've had physical therapy in the hospital before, and you can organize stuff to look at that, and that might also help you give you a better idea on their function back then and how they presented, so then you kind of know what you're maybe going into. And then I've been getting, more and more familiar just like with procedures that are going on and more like medical related things. And so, yeah.
Well, good.
Enough boring you guys with all of that. But I've mostly done like low complexity evals this week. And then my CI goals for next week that we have is with these low complexity evals. If we can, we like to talk to nurses and stuff first, whether that's like in person or having to call them with like the phones that they have. So my CI was like, let's try to have that like be part of
what you're
doing, and then easing into more moderate complexity evals next week.
Good. Something related to evals for my end, before we jump into stuff quick. So I had observed my CI, I think, do 2 evals my first week. And then this week we had another new eval. And so he's like, okay, like you can try this one since you've seen me do 2 of them. And like I did it fine, but it was funny because like the 2 evals that he did, these people were like very like not that like hard to evaluate. Like they were like sitting in their wheelchairs and he was like doing some manual muscle testing on them, like testing their sensation, their proprioception, and they were like doing pretty well. And then you like pretty much do that. You obviously like ask them subjective questions about like home, who's gonna help and stuff, that stuff. And then we just run through this thing called the care tool, which is just like how far can they walk? Can they do it by themselves? Can they go up and down the stairs? Can they get in and out of a car? It's just like this whole list that you kind of run through. And so I was like in my head, okay, easy enough. Like I'll do that. And the person that I see is like just a little bit more complex and like requires more assist. So I was like in my head trying to be like, do we like want to give them assist, or is it like how much can they do like on their own, like what's the level here? Like obviously we gotta keep them safe, so it's like if they can't do it, they can't do it. And they're also just like in bed when we first got there, and so it was like, how do we like, in my head I'm like, I know I like learned how to like manual muscle test in these positions and stuff, but I'm like, but I just watched him do it and they're sitting up, and so I was like, okay, 1 second, let me like think. But we made it through, and he said I did fine. I was like, okay, I don't think I did that good, but yeah, when I left today he was like saying that I was doing well, and so far I could expect a good midterm report, so that's good.
Well, good.
Okay, should we get to some unpopular opinions?
Let's do it. So I'll start with my first one. First unpopular opinion is Midwestern politeness is fake. I've lived in the Midwest for several years now, and the people definitely have the characteristic politeness stereotypical of the Midwest. Problem is, it's fake. As soon as you behave in a way they don't expect or like, Midwesterners get super mad. For example, I'm not automatically friendly. I'm an introvert. When I don't reciprocate a Midwesterner's friendliness, they turn offended and hostile quickly.
Oh, wow. Hostile?
Yeah. I feel like, I don't read that much into, I feel like the Midwestern politeness is simply people, will say hi to a stranger, passing by, versus like in New York, people probably don't do that.
I feel like even like when we've gone to California and stuff, like people have been generally like nice. You know what I mean?
Like it's not isolated just to the Midwest.
Like I could see like New York, I could see being like the standoffish, like no one's worried about anyone. Like they're just going from point A to point B. I could see that there. Granted, I've only been to New York for like less than 24 hours, so I don't know. That's just the vibe that I get. But everywhere else I've traveled within the U.S. is like, okay, everyone's mostly nice.
I will say, like, I don't know if this is a different situation because, like, I don't know. It just seems like it. But today, for example, I was leaving the gym. I'm walking to my car. Like, back is towards the building. I'm facing no one. And, like, a middle-aged man is, like, walking kind of in a different direction towards his car. And he just kind of, like, yells out in my general direction, being like, it was 30 degrees a couple days ago, and now it's like this because it's warmer. Yeah. And I was just like, I turned around and I was like, yeah, like,
what do I do?
Yeah, it is. And then so I don't know, but I feel like maybe there's camaraderie since we go to the same gym or something, and we're not like complete strangers. But like, I don't know.
Checking out at the gas station, I like stopped at the gas station after I got off today before coming here, and I was like getting in line. This guy at the end of the line was like, "You can go in front of me." I was like, okay, thanks.
Did he have much, or he was just...
No one, like, everyone had, like, 2 things. It's gas station.
I know, but... But, I mean, is that Midwestern politeness?
Maybe.
And
you guys let us know.
Pretty genuine.
But their thing is about fakeness. So, I mean...
Have you ever had someone, I would say...
Turn on you?
As much as I hate... No, I don't mind the term introvert. I hate the term shy, which they don't use in this thing. But, like, okay, I'm an introvert. I've lived in the Midwest my whole life, and I feel like I would say I don't think it's fake, but I also don't think, like, I think that politeness is generally a thing everywhere in the U.S. Maybe there's a little bit more, like, maybe Midwesterners aren't afraid to be a little bit more, like, let's have a conversation right now. And
like in the elevator.
And then I'm
kind
of like, I maybe don't want to have a conversation right now.
I'm the type of person who, like, probably wouldn't have, like, just an elevator conversation anyways. I will say, though, when I was leaving the hospital a couple days ago, so I was, like, going down the elevator, and there was another, I think she's a PT that got on, but, like, I haven't worked with her because she's on a different floor. But she's like, oh, like, are you a new student, like, working with so-and-so? And I was like, yeah. And then she was saying how she was, like, an Iowa grad from, like, 2 years ago. And we, like, talked, go down the elevator, all the way to the parking lot, up, like, to the parking garage.
Good social skill practice.
Yeah, basically.
So, yeah, I disagree just because I feel like I've never personally experienced this, and yeah. But, I mean...
So, I mean, I guess we would say it's an unpopular opinion, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The first unpopular opinion that I have is our pocket devices shouldn't be called phones anymore. Notice how they, like, called it pocket devices.
I read that one.
Why are the devices in our pockets that connect us to the world still called phones? The term is wildly out of date, considering that it's only one thing it's capable of. Small one at that. Call it anything else. That was their wording, not mine.
What's wrong with the term phone?
What's interesting
is that... The phone has evolved. It hasn't changed. It has evolved.
So it has changed. I think that they are limiting, like, yeah, we know, like, the phone was invented as, like, you put in the number, you call someone, like, you talk to them on the other line. But, I mean, just as technology has improved... Like,
you're telling this person walks around every day, and instead of calling it their phone, they say pocket device? Is that better?
My pocket device. Yeah, I mean...
What do you call it if it's not one thing?
And, like, that would imply that there would have been, like, a point in time where it's, like, you know, we add X to a phone. It's
called a cell phone. That's different than a phone.
You know, we add...
a smartphone. How about that?
That's what we do. We already do call it that. But, like, that would imply there would have been some, like, day and time where, like, you know, oh, it's not a phone anymore. It's too far gone. We've added too much to it. And now it's something else. Like, I just think, like you said, it's evolved over time. And we've all just come to accept that. No one's going to, like, all of a sudden be like, okay, on this day of October 21st, they're no longer called phones. They're called pocket devices. And you'd have to have a lot of people on board for that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Stupid opinion.
That is an unpopular opinion. One that I cannot get behind.
My own personal unpopular opinion is, since today is Taylor Swift's album release day, I'll share my thoughts on it. Even though, you know, I'm not a huge Swiftie, and sometimes albums, you gotta listen to them more than once to really soak things in. Ciera already reminded me that with Olivia Rodrigo's album, which we both, you know, loved when it came out.
On repeat for, like, the entire year.
The first time we listened to it, you know, maybe it wasn't our favorite, And I was probably the same way with like the Jonas Brothers album as well. At that time, I was like, all these songs sound the same, and I don't really know how I feel about it. And then I also grew to like that album. But I was getting ready this morning. I was like, I'll put the songs on, and like I listened to it on my way into work, and then I finished it like when I was coming home from work. And there were only like 3 songs that really caught my attention because the rest to me just kind of sounded like the same the entire way through, and there was no like variation in like musically what was going on. So it just like I wasn't really paying attention. But I liked Karma was probably my favorite. I do like that one. Question, and then Anti-Hero, which were all like the more in your face type of songs where it seemed like something different was going on. So those are my thoughts on. I also because did you see the
3 a.m. tracks?
The 3 a.m. K-Dog surprise? Like did you see like she had like on her TikTok she posted a video of like the calendar of the week, and so she had like different times and stuff, but yeah, she had like it listed as like 3 a.m. a very chaotic surprise. So like people knew something was coming at 3 a.m. but they didn't know what it was. Yeah. Anyways, the next unpopular opinion that I have is, as a non-smoker, cigarettes smell quite nice. Here's what they said further. The smell of cigarette smoke comes through my window most nights, and I actually enjoy the aroma. It's almost a calming smell. However, I know a lot of non-smokers hate it, which I think is over-exaggerating a little bit.
You know what's funny? I think Dad has said that he doesn't mind the smell of like cigar smoke and stuff. And I feel like for people who think this, there's probably like that, like there's a memory or something associated with that. Whether it's like a person that like smokes that it reminds me of. You know what I mean? The limbic system.
Yeah. I was like,
to me, that's the only way that you would think that it smells good is if you have like a positive association with it.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta disagree with this one.
Point blank. I have to. Yeah.
And maybe sometimes people are like a little over dramatic when they're around cigarette smoke.
Like people like cough dramatically and you're like, oh my God, like you're embarrassing.
At that point, like you're just being rude. Like I'm pretty sure they know it's not healthy to smoke. Like,
yeah.
Anyways, but I mean, anyway, yeah. Simple disagree with this one.
Megan and I like the smell of gas. So
yeah, and
that can't be good.
I mean, I know our dad specifically, but maybe many other people think that we're extremely weird for that. But like, it reminds me specifically, like, and I know our older sister Haley, she likes the smell
nothing
too.
Like the smell of gas in the winter.
Like specifically, like
winter gas.
You've opened the garage door. It's brisk outside.
I don't even like cold. So why do I like that so much? But like the cold adds another layer. Some bite to it.
I don't know. And I don't try to like inhale the smoke or anything, but or the smoke, what? I don't try to like sit there and inhale the gas because I know that's not good, but I just, if I'm walking out to my car, I'm like, it smells kind of nice.
Yeah.
That's all. Maybe that's my unpopular opinion.
Next unpopular opinion is kind of related to, we were talking about albums and songs and stuff. So this says listening to whole albums is way better than listening to individual songs. And then the comment is, I feel like especially younger people nowadays don't really listen to whole albums anymore, like on streaming services. It's a way better experience. The album is cohesive and just works. I don't know why people don't listen to whole albums. And that is interesting how like streaming services probably did like change the way people listen to music, just because if you wanted to listen to a song, you used to just have to plug in the whole album and CD and like play it all the way through.
I feel like it's kind of sad.
You would skip songs, but
since we've entered like the streaming era, you don't get like, it's not really like apples to apples comparison of like those like old records of like this many albums sold for like this artist, or like it's just not the same.
It's not tangible.
Kind of bothers me because like sometimes you want to compare like the apples to apples to be like, if all things were level, who has the most of this or most sold this or whatever, but you can't do that now. It bothers me.
Something you'll never get back.
Or, this is unrelated, I feel like, have we talked about this in a podcast episode before? The fact that people, like, don't listen to the radio anymore, you no longer get that shared experience of, like, you're driving next to someone else, you have the most popular radio station, like, you're both tuned into that, you look over to the person in the car next to you, and you're, like, jamming out to the same song.
Like,
you'll never get that back.
It can't happen.
You will never experience that again.
I know, it's crazy. The other thing like related to this, so my experience listening to music on Spotify, I like not recently, but like I have been like an album girly where it's like the Jonas Brothers, I would turn on like the Happiness Begins album and just like listen straight through. Olivia Rodrigo's album, I would like turn it on, listen all the way through. Those are the only 2 albums I've done that with. Everything else is just like song by song by song.
I mean, I did that with like Taylor Swift, and I've done that with Jonas Brothers and Olivia Rodrigo in the past. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing that with the Taylor Swift album because, like, I don't know if
I'm giving up on that. I listened to it one time through and I just don't know if I care.
But, and then Harry Styles is also, like, he released an album where I like a good amount of the songs on it, but I never went through and, like, listened to the album either for that one. So, I don't really know why I pick and choose what I do, but I'm not really, like, an album listener. It's just never really been my thing.
So what do we think? Is listening to the whole album a better listening experience?
No, because I want to listen to the other songs I like.
You want to curate your own experience.
Yeah, that's what my on repeat's for.
That's what you make playlists for. People are curating their best experience.
I feel like a lot of times too, like, I know that the point of like an artist's album is like they craft it so it's usually cohesive and makes sense together and stuff.
I have an unpopular opinion.
But sometimes I want different sounds. So
this is related to Taylor Swift because I just like listen to her songs, you know. And who am I to say Taylor Swift, you know, is not a genius, because I can respect her craft and stuff. But sometimes I'll be listening and I'm like, what?
I just saw it.
Because everyone's like, she's a lyrical genius.
No, I saw something. Sometimes maybe I just don't dive in as deep as other Swifties, but like I saw, because I've seen like a lot of my TikTok right now is like people just like sharing their thoughts and talking about the Taylor Swift album. And so in Anti-Hero, I think, it says something about like a sexy baby, like everybody's sexy baby.
I was like, what? I listened to that.
Hold
I was
on.
leaving the gas station.
And so people were saying, I don't know if this is confirmed or not. It's like a 30 Rock reference, which like I don't know 30 Rock, so I was like looking through comments, and first of all, everyone was just like, I had to like stop what I was doing when that played, or I like thought I heard the lyrics wrong.
Literally, I was leaving the gas station and I was like, excuse me, what did you say?
And so there is a 30 Rock scene that it's Tina Fey's saying something along the lines of like, I don't know what she was saying, but it was something about like society's pressures of like, she's talking to like this girl who is like, you'll just have to look it up on your own if you care, okay? Because I'm not going to explain it well, and I don't even fully know if it explains the lyrics in the song, but yeah. Or do you ever feel, because I felt this kind of with some of the songs on the album too, but do you ever feel like the lyrics and like the pacing of them just like isn't matching the music, and she's like, words are just being said and there's music playing?
Yes I do feel that.
I felt like that with a lot of the songs on the album as well. So
yeah.
And honestly, like, this year has been like my year for Taylor Swift. She's probably going to be one of my top artists on Spotify because I've been listening to so much of her
Not if Elvis
Fearless
doesn't get there first.
album, and just I've been listening to her more than I ever have. So no bashing Taylor Swift. I'm not doing that. But I was kind of like, these are some interesting sounds.
Interesting sounds that I'm hearing out of my speaker right now.
My turn?
Yes.
Okay. Next unpopular opinion. Ground turkey is a severely underappreciated meat.
I wholeheartedly agree.
Not a very hard-hitting unpopular opinion, but I stand by it. Ground turkey is so good at almost everything you would use ground beef for. Burgers, tacos, meatballs, etc. Tastes great and healthier too. A lot of people complain about being dry, but you should know how to cook it, or you should have to know how to cook it. I don't know what they're saying. I've converted, not like completely, but we hardly ever buy ground beef ever, mostly because it started more so as I don't care that much, and so when Ciera and I like moved out, and like wherever I heard like ground turkeys being like a healthy alternative, I was kind of like, okay, I'll try that instead because I don't care.
Mm-hmm. And then when we would get like those pre-seasoned either
Right.
Italian sausage or taco
They
seasoned
don't do that with
meat.
beef.
They do that with turkey sausage. Tastes fine. Tastes good.
Makes it so
In
I don't have to
fact-
buy taco seasoning.
I mean, like, granted, our dad will make taco meat with like beef and
But I
stuff.
don't think it tastes as good now.
But-
like I've converted.
And like, I think that our dad's like tried, like, we've gotten the turkey sausage taco seasoned meat and like used it at his house before. He's like, oh, like that tastes better than I thought it would. Because I think he's just been like brainwashed to thinking like, oh, beef is the best. Like turkey's not good.
I mean, we always get ground turkey when we make our drunken noodles. Usually, like the original recipe, it calls for pork sausage, and now like I don't think the pork sausage tastes as good as the turkey sausage anymore either. So once you get a taste for ground turkey, you may not be able to go back.
All right. Next unpopular opinion that I have is living at home during college is much better than staying in a dorm. I lived in a dorm my first year and it was awful. You have no privacy, have to share bathrooms, live in a tiny room, have to deal with living with someone you just met, and doing laundry is a pain in the butt. I now live back at home and it's much better. I have a big room all to myself. I can shower and poop in the bathroom as long as I want, and I save so much money. I am still very involved in campus and have friends, go to events, and am in clubs. I just don't see the appeal of living in a dorm at all. Can we hold on? Pause. I do not understand colleges that make you live in the dorm at all, or B, make you live in the dorm for like more than like an extended period of time, you know? Like some colleges make you live in the dorm for like your first like 2 years or like your like 3 years. And I'm like, what?
I didn't know that any schools made you do that, but
there's some schools that make you live in dorms.
My thought is that I agree with this. Although I like living in a dorm was fine. Like I could do it again, but I definitely also recognize like all the same things that they're saying are annoying that you don't have to deal with living at home. Like it was nice to just like you never have to worry about like super loud neighbors versus like in a dorm sometimes you just don't know. People are being loud and you can't do anything about it. And then like sharing a bathroom is always just like don't love that. And then I remember just like after our first semester, Ciera and I were kind of like, you know, we've probably had enough of the dorm life, but of course like the dorm life has not had enough of us because we're stuck here for another semester.
Yeah.
But and like we weren't going to, I mean, it's expensive to live in a dorm, and like you do kind of just like do that your first year. You don't technically have to, at least like at Iowa you certainly don't, but like that's what everyone does. And I don't regret staying in the dorm, but I definitely was like, I am ready to not be in a dorm.
Like I remember turning in that key and being like, see ya, like never gonna be here again.
And also like, I mean, Ciera and I have very thick hair and like it sheds a decent amount. I feel like it got worse in college, or I was just noticing it way more because I think the dryers there and like the washing machines just are not good. And so the amount of hair that was in everywhere our dorm room that I had not experienced like anything before.
And nothing like it before, nothing like it since.
That's what I was thinking too. That's an Elvis reference. It was grossing me out so much. But anyways.
And also just like I hated having no appliances.
And like the cooking that we would have to like try and make do in our dorm because we didn't like the dining hall. It was nice having a convenience store right downstairs. That was a plus.
Yeah. I feel like we didn't use it that much though.
I know. We didn't use it that much, but like sometimes, you know,
it was there. Yeah. I look back at like pictures or like vlogs and stuff of like us in our dorm and I'm like, oof.
I should go like revisit freshman year.
I just don't like it. Freshman year, bad vibes for me. Your turn.
Okay. YouTubers need to move away from these hour-long essay-style videos.
Wholeheartedly disagree.
Already. So their comment is they start with, at minimum, 15 minutes of redundant or irrelevant information, usually a personal anecdote or a prelude into the topic. This is generally unneeded and it is done to appear to be an authority on the topic. It's like, why don't they respect your time? And before you go there, I do skip through these parts, but why should it be my job to figure out when the pertinent information begins?
First of all, double speed all videos. Second of all, I love like the longer form video essay.
I feel like
type
YouTube
of
is the
videos.
only place that you get or have the option to get long form content. If not there, then where?
Like that's created by someone else.
Right.
Unless it's like a Twitch stream or something. But
I certainly have to be in the right headspace to be ready to consume a long video. But when I am, like, that's
you're like,
what I
I'm
want.
Sitting
that's
down,
why I'm watching the video.
getting a snack. this is what I'm doing. And also, like, YouTube has different lengths of content. Like, you don't have to watch those long form video essay content.
Yeah.
You can watch something else. Like, you know what I mean? They're complaining about, you know, here's all of YouTube. Here are the hour-long video essay content that they're complaining about. Don't watch them. Watch the shorter content. Like, there's no way it's just, like, those hour-long videos that are talking about whatever
like
you want to learn about or
and also,
see.
like, I feel like commentary-type videos
require that time.
Yeah.
Is that what you're going to say?
Like, I just feel like there is... If this person has certain things they're wanting to watch on YouTube, then find creators that do that, and typically they'll do, like, they'll stay consistent with that format and whatnot. So have you found a creator that you actually like and does something consistent? I don't know. I just don't really... Like, they should be able to find someone or whatever.
Like, usually...
Or if they're just like, this makes it sound like they just only go on YouTube and, like...
Click around.
Click whatever
Beep
videos they
around.
watch. Which, like, I do that too sometimes, but, like, I'm kind of just like, I go into a video, I look at how long it is, and I'm just... That's what I'm there for. So...
And then sometimes you're in it, but then you're out and you give up halfway through. That's fine. It's all of our YouTube journeys. Next one I have is, if you don't know how to change a tire, you shouldn't be allowed to have a license. I would not be able to have a license if this was the case. Neither would you. Granted, our dad for the past 3 years or 4 years has been like, one of these days I'm going to take you out and, like, show you guys how to change a tire. And while he means well, he has not yet done so. I understand the reason behind this. I really do. But a lot of people are going to be off the road if that's the case. Do you think that then, like, we should have to, like, do this in driver's ed or something?
No.
Why?
If you don't know how to change it, there's someone you can call to do it. And if it exists, then why? Like, I'm not saying
we're going to put people out of jobs.
Exactly. I'm not saying that people shouldn't learn how to change a tire. I probably should learn how to change my tire. But, like, everything's in place for me not to need to know how to change my tire.
It's a good rebuttal.
So, yeah. And I'll probably have to
see what they said.
you know?
They said a friend is a roadside...
I read this one, too.
Oh.
They were saying that they get so many calls related to that it takes or makes longer wait times for actual, like, big problems. Which, like, fair enough. But, you know, they need the work. I don't know. Anything else that you need to add?
No.
Okay. This is funny because you did this earlier and I took note of it. This unpopular opinion is, I hate the use of the word vibe. I use the word vibe a lot. Or it's always funny when you hear a new piece of slang and then, like, you kind of don't see how it could ever, like, implement its way into your own daily usage. Because I remember when low-key became a thing, I just never really knew how people, like, started just having it roll off the tongue. Like, they never didn't say it. And now I say it all the time. Same with, like, vibe is not something everyone has said for forever. But I use that word a lot now, too. And it just fits where I need it to. And, yeah.
I feel like, yes, does the word make me cringe a little bit, or at least it used to, or, like, you hear other people say that, or, like, dating apps especially, like, when people use, like, the word vibe in, like, a dating app profile, and they're like, I'm like, no. There's some usages where it's like, the fact that you use the word vibe and you wrote it out,
like,
can't
yes,
do it.
like, I would say that I want to vibe with the people I'm around, but I'm not going to, let me not use that in, like, a dating app specifically.
Like, that's when I'm, like, I get, like, ew. But I use the word vibe and, like, oh, like, it's just, like, chill vibes tonight, like, you know. I mostly feel like when Meg and I, like, talk to each other, it's, like, half joking, half not. But, like, I say it in non-joking manners, too. Like, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but yeah. I say the word, I don't mind it, but there's times where, like, I'm, like...
There's times where you're kind of, like,
don't use that word.
I don't mean to use this word, but I can't think of another word that better describes what I want to say.
Or, like, when we're doing, like, podcast stuff or, like, video stuff, we're like, what kind of vibe are we going for? And, like, I don't know a better word to use there.
Mood. What kind of theme do you want to portray?
I don't know. Maybe, but yeah. So that's a time and place for when I use that word. Next one I have is Netflix is dying. Back years ago, Netflix was the was known as the original for streaming content without ads. Now they're changing it where you will have ads if you don't have a premium subscription. This will lead to their downfall. Everyone will stop paying for subscriptions because the whole point of Netflix for some people was watching without ads.
This is interesting. Just like broader conversation here. We are circling back.
We're going to have to be buying streaming service bundles, and that is cable.
Yeah. It seems like things are still technically cheaper, but like, I don't know if that's, I don't know. I just am like, with each, it's basically just like the networks are now getting streaming services. Like Netflix obviously isn't a network, but like they have their own original content, so they kind of are. But then you have like NBC has Peacock. You've got
Paramount
Plus. It's
HBO
just
Max.
really interesting to see how everyone had cable. And although to be fair, like the one pro that people forget for all this is that you paid for cable and they still had ads, and you did not get to have like on demand watching
Content,
options.
yeah.
And so with streaming, you're paying for it, but you don't necessarily have ads, and
you can pick what
can pick
and
what
when
you
you
wanna
watch.
so it is still better. But you like, it used to just be you had Netflix and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like we use our mom's Netflix. I technically have a Hulu because I pay for Spotify. That's the only thing that I pay for. And then
and Disney Plus.
Ciera has Disney Plus. I mooch off of Haley and Ashton's YouTube TV for sports. And yeah. So not a whole lot out of my pocket.
And we have
at
Prime
this point in
Video.
time. Yeah. I do actually, because I have an Amazon Prime account. So that's included. So, but it's not
That's
as
why,
much
like,
as cable.
because like I don't have HBO Max. I'm like, I'm not paying for another one. I'm not. Or same with like Paramount Plus. I'm like, I'm not paying for another one. Like, I just can't see myself getting more than I have because I already have enough.
I've had Peacock for either free trials or like for a short period of time when the Olympics were on, because like I needed to watch the Olympics. But other than that, and then I do like free trials. I've done free trials of plenty of other things for live sports.
Mm-hmm. As far as like if Netflix is dying, I do think like they're pushing a lot of people's buttons, and that's gonna make a lot of people leave. But like I just know that like I am, unfortunately, unless Netflix gets really expensive, actually it'd be mom having to decide this because I'm just mooching off her like you said. But like I'm not leaving, you know.
I'm here.
I'm invested. Mm-hmm. I've got to be able to watch, you know, the things that I regularly watch. And I think that they often, like, they release new content regularly.
Yeah. And Netflix, like, no other streaming service does it as well as, like, as they do for, like, the layout and the marketing.
The recommendations.
When you're scrolling through. It just works well on their platform.
Like, there's no discovery like that. Like, Disney Plus, it's like, I just go to watch what I'm going to watch. Hulu sucks. Like, you only go on there because I'm like, I'm watching Scandal, or I'm watching Survivor, or I'm watching this. Like, you don't go on to look for something to watch.
Because it's horrendous.
Netflix, I'm like, what are you going to show me today, Netflix? That's what I go on there for.
I'm like, what am I watching today, Netflix?
Yeah.
Everything else, I know what I'm going on to watch. Netflix, what's on? What do they have that's new for me?
So, I don't know. I think some people are probably going to cancel their subscriptions. But if you're like me, we're holding on.
Okay, here's my next one. So this unpopular opinion is, it irks me when people sing a small bit of the lyrics of a song when there's no music playing.
I actually love when people do this.
I am very guilty of this. Like, there are many times where we'll be like doing something and I'll be like, oh, like, Ciera, what do you say? And then you're just like, I was just singing like a song, or like copying, like saying the words like a TV show is like another thing that we're like commonly doing. Like if Monk's on, Ciera might say like a line that's coming or something, and I'll be like, what'd you say?
I was just saying a line from the TV show that we're watching. I think it's fun. I think it adds a little spice to life. Spice.
Twins.
No, it's fun. Like, if you don't do things like that, like, you're boring.
I disagree with this unpopular opinion.
What does anyone else say?
Let me see. We aren't singing because we're happy. We're happy because we're singing. Don't take that from us.
Okay. Next one I have is carpets are gross. Carpets are magnets for small bits of crap, dirt, food, dust, and so much more. The only convenient way to clean them is to use a vacuum, and that only works on stuff that is dry and loose. Getting a carpet shampooed is such a pain. I don't understand why a homeowner would install a carpet instead of a hard surface that can actually be cleaned. If you want something soft to stand on, buy a rug. At least rugs can be taken outside and pressure washed.
To be honest, I mean, I could see if someone doesn't take care of their carpet, it can certainly get gross. But
Mom's
on the contrary,
Mom's carpet in the old house in the basement.
On the contrary, I prefer. I mean, I don't have like pets or anything. I'm not regularly spilling on my carpet, so I don't regularly have to like shampoo my carpet because yes, that would be like more annoying. But vacuuming, I much prefer vacuuming over sweeping and mopping hardwood or tile, personally. And rugs are almost worse because they move. Like when you're vacuuming, if you have like our large area rug in like the living room, that's fine. But and in most cases that it's probably fine. But if I have to do like small runner type rugs or other things, like I hate that so much.
I personally like carpet like in a bedroom and stuff. Just makes the room warmer, and I like a warm room. I don't know. Like being able to like walk barefoot and have my feet not be cold. I enjoy that.
Okay. My last one. Gifting someone home decor is inconsiderate. Home decor is so subjective. The piece they give you may not match your style. Then the friend that gifted you the home decor comes over and asks, "Where's that art piece that I gave you?" Or what did you do that with that vase that I gave you? This drives me crazy. Can anyone else relate, or am I just weird for this one?
I kind of agree with this one.
I definitely do agree with this.
Because while the thought is nice, especially like if it is your style and like you can make it work, great. But sometimes someone like gets you something and you're like, I either A, don't really like this, or B, I'm like, I might like it, but I have nowhere to like put it.
Right. Like if you weren't asking for something specific, then you're kind of like, I don't know where I'm putting this, and now you're gonna, I have it, so I gotta find a spot for it somewhere.
I can kind of call Haley and our mom out here because they got us some like artwork and stuff, which we've since found a place to put. But I mean, we technically haven't even hung up those clear like
and
art
technically
stuff.
Like I like that stuff, but like it was laying in my apartment because I had nowhere to put it for 2 years. It's been 2 years since, and it's still has not been officially hung up because
The
I
vibes
haven't
been
had a place
right.
to put it, and she didn't give us any frames to hang the canvases up.
That's another challenge.
So I'm like, well, I don't know how I'm hanging this either. And they're going to go in our bathroom. We do have a spot for them now. And the artwork that our mom got.
One is in the living room. It's like the same thing, but just like slightly different because it's just a thing with places that we've been in our travels. And it actually works really nicely in our living room. Matches the other art that we have. And then we're going to put the other one in the guest bedroom.
Oh, are we?
I thought so.
Maybe we did say that. We haven't done much with the guest bedroom, so I don't know. Yeah. But maybe in the future, which like no one's planning on getting us any home decor stuff anytime soon, I don't think. But it's just not my favorite thing to get because it's just, like the person said, so subjective that if that's not what you were specifically asking for, then it's just hard to work around.
So heading into this last unpopular opinion, also have to apologize to our YouTube listeners, watchers right now. Have no idea what happened with the last 12 or so minutes, or maybe more of that segment where the camera just stopped recording. So we're back. You get to see our faces for this last unpopular opinion. So this one is people in cars stopping in the middle of the street to wait for pedestrians to walk is not polite. It's obnoxious.
I think that, like, I know people mean well when they're doing this, but there's a right-of-way pattern for a reason, and it's like most intersections where there's not just like a pedestrian, like yield to the pedestrian if they start crossing thing, then the car just needs to keep going. I, as the pedestrian, will wait. I just don't like it. Because then I'm like, I'm like, okay, the normal thing is they're going to keep going. I wait and stand here until I can go.
Normally, it's faster for both parties if the car just keeps going. Like, I can understand if there's, like...
Like, I hardly have to wait for you to just drive by.
Yeah. I can understand if it's, like, kind of getting busy and, like, a car's like, okay, if I stop, maybe other cars will stop. And then, like, this person can finally cross the street because they've been waiting forever. I get that. But, like, usually, if you're a pedestrian and you're crossing the street anyways, like, if it's a pedestrian crossing area, like, there's something built in where you're going to have time to go, So, I am with this person. I hate when cars stop and I'm like, you could have just gone.
And then I'm like, I'm staying there and I'm
just
like, okay, I'm going now.
So, Haley also agrees with this because her Instagram bio used to say something similar to this.
No, it was not related to pedestrians at all.
I thought, it was like being in a car, like if you wave me on or whatever. What was it? Okay, Haley's Instagram bio used to be, I love kindness except for if we're at a 4-person stop, and it was clearly your turn to go or something like that.
It was a very long-winded bio. Yeah.
Her bio is not that anymore, but it always made me laugh when I went to her profile and would see that.
Okay, so there's all of the unpopular opinions for today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, then make sure you like it if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe to this channel. We're trying to get this channel to 1,000 subscribers in order to make this channel something that we can put monetization on for. There's like other stuff we have to have too, but I know that that's one of them. So even if you're maybe like normally you like to listen, if you have a YouTube account that you want to go subscribe to the podcast channel with, that would be much appreciated.
Otherwise, we will talk to you guys next Thursday.
Bye.